Have our planet panorama. Now we've got an image that looks something like this. The panorama worked decently well, but we've got some issues. What we want to do is use the clone stamp tool, which is over here to the left. It looks like a sort of a rubber stamp icon. Click that clone stamp tab, or I should say button, and now the clone stamp is very helpful because it allows you to take part of the image and copy it almost as if you're using a paintbrush. So I've selected the clone stamp tool. I'm going to go up to the top of the menu bar. I'm going to click the little size drop down menu. I'm going to make that brush much larger, saves time. I want to keep the hardness on 0 so that I have a soft airbrush like edge. And now we're going to start quickly cloning some of that sky in. We want to get rid of that weird stretchy effect that we got where we got clipping. Okay, I'm going to kind of clean it up a little bit better by using a smaller brush and maybe kind of giving the edge a little bit less softness. If it's too soft, it starts to look weirdly airbrushed. And this is a very intuitive process once you get to this stage of the project. There's not a specific way that I can tell you you need to use the clone stamp tool. Of course, you want to look for areas where there's a lot of solid color, and the sky turned out pretty well. A lot of solid color on the sky, so we can grab blue. Grass is also fantastic for a clone stamp tool. Anything with a repeated pattern or a specific blank color is going to work really great too. We're just going to try to eliminate this line a little bit. Go a little bit larger on that. Now if you look up here at the top of the menu bar where my mouse is, you can also see there's an opacity. If I pull that down, that means that we're getting a less of a full bore effect. So it's like 50%. You can think about that like 50% power. And it's just allowing me to, it's almost like smudging, painting, clearing out some of that area. Okay, now you can obviously go in and spend all day on this sort of thing. Decide what details you like or don't like. That's starting to look a little bit better. I should also say, I kind of skipped it really quickly, but once you do the clone stamp tool, you have that selected. If you hold Option down on your keyboard, I'm on a Mac, but if you hold Option down, you get a target. So hold down Option, click on the screen, lift up on the mouse, and then paint. And that is how you will actually grab the little area. And you can see the little target as I paint. You can see that little target moving around. So once again, hold Option down to set your target. That's the area that you're going to be pulling from for your paint pixels. Click with your mouse, move it where you want to paint. Click and drag. And the more I click over and over, it makes it a little bit more uniform and perfect. Starting to look pretty good here. I have this big problem with this line. You'll find with your planet panoramas that the beginning and the end of the image is where the problems are. So that's going to require a little bit of creativity. I could maybe clone that out, or I could cheat a little bit, or not really cheat, but it's just a matter of finding a solution. I could find another piece of the image where maybe I could select and paste that on top of that. So I'm going to try to maybe grab my lasso. Let's see if we can just almost randomly grab a certain area here. See if I can actually add to that selection. I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste, switch back over to my move tool. Just kind of flipping this around. I'm rotating it. it's getting actually kind of crazy, so I'm going to have to, let's see if I can I'm going to flip this horizontally. Looks like that would be a little bit more blended. We're actually just kind of combining tools here. What may work may not work for one area, may work for another. I'm going to go in with my eraser tool. Pull the brush size up, pull the hardness down, exactly like we used the clone stamp. Just going to blend that a little bit more. Now this area right here is going to be turned upside down, flipped. So I'm not entirely worried about it because that's going to cover up some of the inconsistencies that, you know, an eagle-eyed viewer might hone in on. The nice thing is that the Planet Panorama is a fairly forgiving image. Overdid it there. So I'm not going to worry too much about like some of this fuzzing and things like that because, you know, people aren't going to be looking that closely. And like I said, I'm going to de-emphasize this particular part of the assignment. One little tiny bit there I need to clean up. I'm going to go in with my clone stamp. Let's see. Pull my layers up real fast. You can see that this top layer here is that's the area that I cut and paste, and I've got my background sort of supplying the main image there. So I need to go back into my background. I need to select that. I'm going to go back and clone one tiny little area there. Make sure you're on the right layer. Oh, need to go back up to 100% opacity. I just want to make sure I get that little area there. Clouds are real easy to clean up, so it's no worry, no issue. Okay, now the actual art building is down here at the bottom. I want that to be the part that I see. So I'm going to go to image rotation. Man, I like this a lot better in terms of a final piece. Still missing some areas up here in terms of the cloning. I can now use the crop tool. It's a handy tool to know. That's the 5th click down there. Hold shift if I want to keep that square. Just going to crop that down a little bit. Give myself a nice square. Yeah, totally up to you how you decide to do it. Yeah, well, I think that looks pretty good. My original image was a little bit blown out. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. That's more of a camera issue than a Photoshop issue. But I can, for one last thing, I can go into image, adjustment, and just slightly pull that brightness down. That's going to save it a little bit. But for the most part, the time of day I shot this for a class demonstration was not the best. So my lighting is a little bit off. But there we go. That looks pretty good. There's your Planet Panorama for the back of Fincher. Good luck with your project. Email me if you have any questions. You can send this to me as a JPEG. Send that over email, or even better, upload that to Canvas. Thank you. Good luck, guys.